today we are diving back into intuitive eating with principle number 2, honor your hunger. Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I am a registered dietitian, and here on my channel we talk about all things food and nutrition. Recently we have been talking a lot about intuitive eating, so I decided I'm going to do a series here on my channel where I dive a little bit deeper into each principle of intuitive eating. I've made a playlist of all those videos, so I'll link them below or wherever you link things if you want to see the other ones. I also have 2 dogs. If you're new here, then you will probably hear them make strange noises because they decide to play as soon as I turn the camera on. So like I said, today we're talking about principle 2, which is honor your hunger. And I feel like that sounds kind of like basic and common sense when you hear it, honor your hunger, like eat when you're hungry, obviously. But in reality, a lot of us ignore our hunger. I mean, think about people who have been chronic dieting for most of their life. You know, you're pretty much taught to ignore your hunger. If you're hungry between meals, don't snack. If you're hungry but you've already used your calorie allowance, don't eat anymore. Don't eat after a certain time in the evening. Don't eat before a certain time in the morning. You know, so many different times where we're taught that just because you're hungry doesn't mean you should eat. And this can kind of go for eating when you're not hungry too. You know, we've put all these messages out into the world that, you know, you should eat when you're sad, you should eat when you're happy, you should eat when you're bored, and not actually going by hunger cues. You should eat at a certain time of day, you know, all of those types of things. And we'll get into in a later principle, it's not always bad to eat when you're not hungry. It's okay if you want to celebrate with food or whatever. But before you get to that point, it's important to be able to honor your hunger. And really, when we think about all the times that we've been told to ignore our hunger, continually ignoring your hunger cues basically kind of subconsciously tells you not to trust your body. You know, like I said, just because you're hungry doesn't mean that you should eat. That's showing yourself that, you know, some diet or some person in the media knows what your body needs more than your own body does. So the reason this is principle 2 and the reason that we talk about it so soon in intuitive eating is that by learning to honor your hunger, you are starting to trust your body again, which is essential for becoming an intuitive eater. You have to trust your body and you have to do what's best for your body, and honoring your hunger is a huge step in learning how to do that. So let's talk about, you know, all these times we have been told to ignore our hunger and what happens when you do ignore your hunger. And the reality is you can ignore your hunger, but it's not going to go away. It's going to come back at some point. People skip breakfast for a variety of different reasons. You know, there's been so many people that I've spoken to who skip breakfast and then they tell me, you know, I just can't stop eating at night. I'm constantly snacking at night. I'm so hungry no matter what I do. I have to eat and I can't stop eating. And I asked them what they had for breakfast and they had nothing. And then maybe they had a small lunch too. And then their body is so starving by dinner time that it's giving those signals of starvation and being overly hungry. And then you end up overeating at that point in the day. Same goes for someone who is maybe counting their calories. You know, a lot of people say, I'm so good at breakfast and lunch, and then by dinner time, I just want to eat everything. And it's the same thing, you know, by restricting yourself during the day, that hunger is gonna catch up with you at night. Having that, you know, overly hungry, starving feeling is a natural reaction to restricting yourself. Talked about in principle 1 how diets don't work and we need to reject the diet mentality and, you know, that kind of yo-yo cycle of restricting and then binging or overeating and then regaining any weight you lost and then going back to restricting. And, you know, the science is there. Restriction leads to overeating, sometimes binging. It's a biological reaction. So ignoring your hunger is only going to eventually lead to that. So how do we begin to honor our hunger? So the first step is identifying your hunger cues. Everyone experiences hunger a little bit differently. There's the you know, kind of basic signs of your stomach growling. Some people might get a headache, some people might feel lightheaded, some people might get irritable. I'm one of those people. You know, you hear hangry, it's when you're really hungry. Some people might not be able to concentrate. So thinking about your physical signs of hunger is going to be the first way to start honoring it. Step number 2 is look at hunger on a scale. So let's say number 1 is you are very hungry, and number 10 is you are so full you feel sick. And then number 5 is just kind of neutral, that kind of perfect place of not hungry but not too full. And before you eat, after you eat, kind of begin to rate your hunger on that scale. And as you begin to do that, notice how eating is different at different parts of the scale. Did you skip breakfast and now you're at lunch and you are at like a 2 or a 1 and you're overly hungry, starving, and you notice that you are just scarfing down your food, you're eating more than you normally would, and you're not getting to that satiated state? And then what does it feel like to eat at a 3 or a 4, where you're a little bit hungry and you just want a snack or you want a little meal, and you're able to maybe enjoy your food a little bit more because you haven't gotten to that overly hungry state? So start to see how you feel and how you eat at different points in the hunger scale. Eventually, your aim should be to eat when you're about at a 3. Part of honoring your hunger too is using that hunger scale to judge when you're eating, not using a clock to judge when you're eating. And I know this can be tough if you have like a set lunch break or something like that, but do the best that you can in using your actual hunger cues instead of environmental cues to tell you when to eat. Like I said, in later principles, we will go into this a little bit more, but there will be times when, you know, you're going to see a concert and you might not be really hungry yet, but you know you need to eat before you go. Or you're going to a birthday party and you're not hungry, but you want a piece of cake. And, you know, things like that are okay. And like I said, we'll get into them in later principles. They're also part of intuitive eating. You can be an intuitive eater and do those things. But before that, we need to focus on honoring your hunger before you can truly intuitively eat in those ways as well. So that is principle 2 of intuitive eating, honor your hunger, and you know, some of the ways that you can start to honor your hunger and what happens when you don't honor your hunger. So let me know below, do you feel like you honor your hunger? Is this something that you need to work on? And did you learn something in this video? I hope that you did. I hope you're enjoying this intuitive eating series. Next time, in a few weeks, we will talk about principle number 3, which is make peace with food, a big one. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you have not already. Brody really wants you to as well. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye.